Hello guys, hope all of you are doing very well. Today it is our 174th episode, and as far as the book review is concerned, it is the 24th video. Okay, and as you know, we have been looking into various methods which were followed in the ancient times as well as in the modern times to heal the patients, and it is mostly mental healing. Okay, so if you rectify the mind, the body will be rectified automatically. That is the principle behind these various methods. And you know, different healers have followed different methods, and the same healer might have followed different methods. Most of these healers, they had only one thing in their mind: to heal the patient. Okay, to make the patient physically and mentally all right. That's all. Right? So in this video, we are going to take a particular method which is known as the argumentative method, and let us see what it is. See, Dr. Phineas P. Kumbi. We will keep it as short as Dr. Kumbi. Okay, Kumbi of Maine. He was a pioneer in mental and spiritual healing. Kindly note this point. He was not only a mental healer, he was a spiritual healer also. That means he was spiritually inclined to heal the patients. Okay, he was a pioneer in mental and spiritual healing, lived and practiced 100 years ago in Belfast, Maine. Okay, in New York. And you know, those days healing used to take place in so many places under the guidance of so many therapists. And all these things were reported to the public through newspapers. And you know, suppose if a therapist is attached to an institute, the others in the institute, they used to save all the paper cuttings, and they used to have a record of how many people have been treated, what is the success rate, what is the failure rate. All those things they did maintain a record. It is not that only now we are advanced and so we are maintaining. Even in those days, they used to write on a piece of paper, and they used to record it. In the sense, they used to file those papers. Okay, and later on, many doctors, you know, they published their work, and these books were also referred to as manuscripts. So whatever was published regarding Dr. Kumbi's treatment, everything was compiled and it was published as the Kumbi manuscript in 1921. Actually, Dr. Kumbi mainly followed this argumentative method, and he treated the sick from 1849 to 1869, 20 years. Later on, he shifted to some other method. Okay, what is this argumentative method? You see here, the patient becomes sick by misunderstanding the holy books. See, for Hindus we have Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, like that. The holy books are all absolutely fine. They are 100% true. They are 100% correct. Okay, but where things go wrong is when we read it and when we try to interpret it. So those days, when they read the Bible also, in Bible also, things were not given in a straightforward manner. Okay, they were all written in with the double meaning, and unless you know the real meaning for which it is meant to be, then we tend to carry many misunderstandings about the holy book itself. Okay, so then what happens? See, these, when we carry these mistaken things in our mind, obviously they harm the mind, and simultaneously they harm the body also. That is, it spoils the mind, and that is reflected in the body also in the form of diseases. So this is how many people had lot of misunderstandings about the Holy Scriptures. So when they read the Bible also, they were mistaken for what is written in an indirect method. Okay, and this led them to mental suffering, and that in turn resulted in physical suffering. So the healers had to do double work. Here, that is why Dr. Kumbi also did. His method is known as it involves mental and spiritual healing. So spiritually we have to teach them to remove the misunderstanding from the mind. Then the mind becomes okay, and when the mind is okay, the body also becomes okay. Okay, so there the healer has to exert a lot of pressure while talking to the patient. First of all, the healer has to understand where the mistake has gone into. What is the mistake? What is the mistaken identity of the patient? And then he has to explain to the patient what is the real meaning given by these holy books. Once the patient understands his misunderstanding, then everything is healed. His mind is healed, so as a result, his body is also healed. So this is how Dr. Kumbi explains this spiritual healing as an argumentative method. Because what is an argument? If there are two people, A says something, B contradicts, B says something else, then A says something else, then B says something different. So this is the meaning of arguing, isn't it? Argument. So like this, now the argument is in the mental and spiritual healing. The argument is between two people. Who are the two people? The healer and the patient. Because the patient has got lot of misunderstandings. Now the healer has to talk to the patient, argue with the patient, okay, ascertain that this is your misunderstanding. The holy books do not ever say such things. You have misinterpreted it in your own way. Like that, he had to argue with the patient many a times to convince the patient that the patient has misunderstood the correct thing. And once the patient gets rid of the misunderstanding, then his mind is healed, thereby the body is also healed. Okay, now you understand why the method is called the argumentative method. Okay, so here Dr. Kumbi duplicated many of the healing miracles recorded in the Bible. So what is, see, in many places miracles had taken place. Even Jesus Christ himself did a lot of miracles and healed a lot of people. And these things are written in the Bible. But superficially, when one reads, there is a chance of misunderstanding it. Okay, we should go deep into the meaning. If we do not understand, we should ask people who know it. Okay, otherwise, this sort of mental diseases will occur, and it will affect the physic also. Okay, so Kumbi duplicated many of the healing miracles recorded in the Bible. His method involves spiritual reasoning. So for reasoning, he had to argue, because the patient strongly, very staunchly believed in the mistaken identity. Okay. So the spiritual, this method involves spiritual healing, wherein you convince the patient and the healer also has to get convinced that sickness is due to his false belief and groundless fears lodged in his subconscious mind. You reason it out and convince the patient that the disease is due to the distorted, twisted pattern of thought which has taken form in the body also. So change the thought process. That is what is the argumentative method. So you tell your patient that it is your subconscious mind which created this body, and so it has all the intelligence. This we have already seen. Okay, it has got immense potential to heal the body. So that part we have to tell the patient. Okay, and then you liberate the sick by understanding and spiritual healing. Okay, this was the procedure used by Dr. Kumbi of Maine from 1849 to 1869. And Kumbi himself, see, after 20 years, he shifted the method to slightly a different method, and it happens. See, nowadays, all the doctors do not prescribe the same medicine. Okay, and there is always what should I say? There is no concurrence as far as a particular usage of a drug is concerned when it comes to a particular disease. If there are 5 doctors deal with the same disease in 5 different ways. Okay, like that. So Dr. Kumbi also, after 20 years, he started following a slightly different method. But see, there are slight variations in these methods, but basically the underlying principle is the same. What is that? That is the immense healing power of our subconscious mind. Okay, and see, he was really the father of psychosomatic medicine and the first psychoanalyst in those days, during his time. Okay, from his manuscript, Healing of a Cripple, see, he is quoting this as one of his miraculous healing which had happened. Okay, it was reported in the newspaper, and it finds a place in his manuscript also, and Dr. Joseph Murphy picks it up and gives it as an example. Okay, a woman who was lame, aged and bedridden. Okay, she was imprisoned by a creed. What do you mean by a creed? That is, she misunderstood what is given in her Bible, in her holy book. Okay, so she could not understand the Bible. She took the direct meaning, and her inability to see clearly the meaning of the paragraphs of the Bible made her body feel heavy and sluggish. So much so, she stopped walking. She became a bedridden patient. Then Kumbi travelled in his mind and contemplated the divine ideal, that is the vitality, the intelligence, the harmony and the power of God functioning in the sick person. Okay, he explained the verses of the Bible to her, and this prayer, that is, he argued with her so much to convince her that what she had in her mind was totally a wrong concept. She misunderstood the Bible. Okay, then he has said this prayer, that is, therefore, he quotes, therefore, where I go, you cannot come, for you are in your narrow, restricted belief, and I am in health. So this sort of arguments he had to give, he had with the patient, with this lady, to help her to get rid of all the negative beliefs. And when the negative beliefs were driven away from her mind, she became all right. Okay, and this prayer gave her an instantaneous sensation. See, this prayer gave her an instantaneous sensation in her mind, and a change came over her mind. She walked out of her crutches. She just walked out of the bed. She was bedridden. She was crippled. Now she walked out of the she walked out of the bed, and she started walking without any help. Then Kumbi said, "It is one of the most singular of all my healings." Okay, that is why Dr. Joseph Murphy also took this case and gave it in his book, one of the singular of all his healings. Who's Dr. Kumbi's? Okay, so this method also should be followed. Suppose if the patient coming to us is having misinterpretation in her or in his own mind of the holy books or of the principles of life itself. And this happens with all the holy books. You know, people start reading it, and when they interpret it, when they explain it to others, they add some masala to it. They add some thoughts of his own into that. So slowly, as days go by, the version gets distorted. Okay, so unless the explanation is true, to the point of what is said in the Holy Script, there is a tendency for the person who is hearing, to misunderstand it. And this is how it happened a lot those days, because they blindly believed in Bible, but they could not understand the Bible. That is how this lady also had a lot of misunderstanding of the Bible verses. Once she got it cleared, her disease ran away from her. She got cured. Okay, so this is the underlying principle of the argumentative method. We have to convince the patient. Any number of argument needed should be given. Okay, we have to argue, we have to adopt different methods to throw away the wrong understanding, distorted version, which is buried deep into the subconscious mind of the patient. Once that is taken and thrown out, no need for any other medication, the patient becomes all right. Okay, so a very interesting method. I hope you understand it. And if you are a healer, if you are a therapist, then sometimes you may have to use this method also. Okay, wish you all the best.